Good morning, everyone. It's Facebook Live time, and today's topic is going to be about conversion rates. I think it was last week during the Facebook Live. I think I did the coaching sessions, and a lot of the questions for everybody were regarding, in some form or another, regarding conversion rates, which, just to be clear, is when you get views to your listings or your shop, but you're not getting sales. So you have people looking at your stuff, but you're not getting sales. So today's Facebook Live is dedicated to that. In the topic where I wrote up above, down below it, I gave you a link to all my other Facebook Lives. So I might refer to some other ones during this Facebook Live, and the easiest way to find them is through that link, because they're sorted by topic. Yeah, categorized by topic. And so you'll easily be able to find ones that I refer to based on the topic, okay? So say hey down below so I know you're here. Let me type in hey so I know. Yeah, there it goes. Good morning. Make sure the comments are working just fine, because you never know. Once in a while they act up. And so I'm going to go over a 9-step checklist to improve your conversion rate. So here's the thing, okay? This 9-step checklist is similar. Well, not similar, but it's like the free version of having a coaching session with me. Not really. It's quite different, but the reality is you're getting this really great advice that leaves you with actionable advice, so you could actually write some of these things down and start actually doing it. Just because you're not paying for a coaching session doesn't mean the advice I'm giving you is not valuable, right? So make sure that you take notes or rewatch this, and you could apply exactly what I'm teaching you, okay? Now, I don't think the order I'm going to give you these nine steps, whatever, is going to be in a particular order, except for maybe the first few. I'll let you know if it's in a particular order or not as I'm going through it. Good morning. Yeah, it looks like my comments are not working, so I have to keep sending a comment into comment land. So if you keep seeing little periods being sent out into the comment section, it's me trying to move along the comments, okay? Good morning. So yes, I'm going to go over 9-step checklist. You could write this down. You could revisit this Facebook Live later. I'd rather you just take action and write these down. And probably you'd have to rewatch this just to refresh your memory on each of the steps in regards to how I want you to implement them. And the reality is, if you follow these 9 steps, I may be missing a step, who knows, but there's always things you can do to improve your conversions. But if you follow these 9 steps, there's a good chance that you will improve your conversion rate, especially with this one I'm going to talk about, especially, okay, which you'll see in a moment. And then I'm going to go over, before I actually go over the 9 steps, I'm going to go over how to calculate conversion rate. I figure that's a really easy thing to do, but I find that most people continue to ask the question. So I'll always remind people how to calculate conversion rate. It's a really simple formula, so simple, okay? I'm also going to talk about views versus visits. You guys know that on Etsy you have views versus visits, but on other platforms you may have something called page views and sessions. Okay, so we're going to talk about the difference between those so you understand what they are and which number you should be using to calculate with, okay? And then I'm going to tell you something really, really important, because while you're calculating all these conversion rates and you know how to calculate it, you don't know what to look for, what the conversion rate should be. And the reality is I'm going to tell you what your expected conversion rate should be. It's going to be a range for the different platforms that you sell on and different traffic sources, right? Because you can imagine you're not going to get the same conversion rate for traffic from Pinterest compared to email list. It's just the reality. So we're going to talk about the differences of that, okay? It's really important that you understand these things I'm going to be teaching you and listen carefully, read between the lines, because, for example, I'll give you an example. So as you know that you'll see in a moment, we're going to identify which listings of yours are not performing well. And it's important when you look at those listings that you see where the traffic is coming from. I'll be talking about that more in just a moment, because if your traffic is coming mainly from search, then yeah, you probably have bigger problems, which, the other 9 steps will help you. But if most of your traffic's coming from, I don't know, Pinterest or from social media, usually they technically have lower conversion rates depending on which one you use, then that's expected, right? So maybe you don't have to really improve that listing. It's a matter of because you got traffic from a low converting source. Okay, we'll talk more about that in order. Okay, good morning. So again, comments are a little bit funny, but if I hit a period into the comments, into the comment world, the comments would continue loading. All right. So I sent out a tweet for everybody to join me. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please do. The link is up above. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, bit.ly/THM tweets, or just search for me, Dahlia Mastermind. Okay. And that way you know exactly when I'm coming on Facebook Live. Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about how to calculate conversion rates. Okay. So it's a really simple formula. The formula is where's my calculator, Jess? You know what my calculator is? I swear to God, my kids probably took my calculator. Okay, no problem. I'll use my phone just to kind of walk through some things with you guys. So the conversion rate is simply, well, first of all, it is when you have somebody come to your, let's just be clear, okay? We have somebody coming to your shop, to your listing, one person, they look at an item, they look at this item, that counts as a view, right? They're looking at it. If they leave without purchasing, you have a 0% conversion rate. If they purchase at this moment with one view and one sale, you have 100% conversion rate, right? So conversion rates relate to the ratio of people purchasing compared to, well, the ratio of people purchasing, okay? And some people related to the actual views. So if that person views 10 items and only buys one thing, whatever, one order, then it's a 10% conversion, right? So anyway, so let's talk about, so we know what conversion rate relates to. So let's talk about how you calculate your conversion rate. Calculate conversion rate is really simple. You take the number of orders, okay, number of orders. So you can find that on Etsy. Okay, I'm on Facebook Live. You can't talk to me right now. We'll get a Walmart bag. Okay. He's like shouting from downstairs. Anyway, anything will be fine. So, so you get the number of orders on Etsy. You can find that in your stats section. I recommend when you calculate conversion rate, you do about 30 days, unless you're particularly looking for a certain conversion rate for a particular day, particular week. Maybe you ran a sale that week. That's irrelevant to this Facebook Live, but in general, you're looking at a 30-day time frame, if not more. Okay. On Amazon, you go to business reports. Okay. And then you could go to business reports with the left-hand side. I think I forgot let me actually look at it right now so I can tell you for sure where to find it, because most people actually, not most people, some people don't know. So right now I'm on my other screen looking at where you find it. Okay, when you go to business reports, under the reports tab, you go to detail, page, sales, and traffic. Okay, and under that, again, make sure it's a 30-day time frame. That's the most healthiest thing you could do. You're gonna look at the conversion rate is unit session percentage. That conversion rate is calculated based on the number of people, not the views, okay, not page views, but the number of people, which is sessions, compared to how many units that they ordered. Okay, so it's different, but nonetheless, that's their conversion rate. Okay, and so that's how you calculate conversion rate. You take the number of orders divided by the number of views. Amazon does it for you. If you go to your website, you could easily look at your analytics, whether you have Google Analytics or in-page analytics, usually using Shopify or Squarespace. You would know the number of orders and potentially the number of views. If you don't have the number of views, you go straight to Google Analytics. Hopefully you set that up for your website, and then you calculate, okay? So let's do an example before we move on to a few other points before we get to the 9 steps. Let's say Sally, a member of ours, she has 9 orders. Okay, I put the number 9 divided by the number of views, and that would be, let's just throw out a number here, 5,000 views. Okay, when hitting the equal sign, you'll get this decimal number. You could either move your decimal point over twice to the right, or times that by 100. So let me get back to you on this one. The A looks weird, does it not? It looks like it's cut off.
Okay.
Did you try to move it?
I moved
The thing,
yeah.
right? I know this is a weird one because it ends up getting skinnier, right? It's weird. Let me get back to you on this one, okay? So anyway, so I times it by 100 just to make it easy, okay? And that gives me 0.18%. That's horrible, okay? That's a horrible conversion rate. And so, and I talked to you about what expected conversion rate should be, but that's how you calculate it. You take the number of orders divided by number of views. Now, let me send a comment into the comment world. Make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments here. Okay, good morning. Okay, so Stacy's asking view or visit. So let's talk about the difference between views and visits first, because you're going to say, Dahlia, okay, that's great. Now I know how to calculate conversion rate. Do I use views or visits? Okay, and so first, what's the difference between views and visits? So on Etsy, a view, a visit is Dahlia is a visitor. So I count as one visit. But if Dahlia checks out 10 of your items, okay, you will then have one visit and 10 views. You see the difference, right? I think everybody's clear on that, right? I don't think I could get any more clearer on the difference between views and visits, okay? Now, just to even clarify even further, on Amazon, and I believe on Google Analytics, I use this lingo as well, sessions, but page views is page views. Again, Dahlia has viewed 10 pages, okay? But sessions is the number of people that came in. And I believe it's unique sessions, okay? So Dahlia counts as a session. One session, me, came to your website, and I saw 10 items. And so on Amazon, that's 10 page views. So one session, 10 page views, okay? That's the difference. So now we know the difference, okay? Which one do you use to calculate your conversion rate? You have number of orders, which is obviously like just clear. It's number of orders. Do you use number of orders by, not number of units, the number of orders, right? The number of orders divided by, you're asking what do you divide it by? Do you divide it by number of views or visits? Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay, first of all, for a long time, Etsy has done views. So we're used to doing that, okay? Now they have this visit situation. You might be like, Dahlia, shouldn't we be using visits because I'm trying to convert a customer? You know, they might be shopping around. As long as I convert them, that's a win. The answer, that is correct, okay? To convert the number of visits is actually more accurate if you think about it like that, okay? However, some platforms, depending where you look, use the number of page views, okay? So I'm trying not to overcomplicate this. Let me just answer it like this. The answer is you could pick whichever one you want as long as you stay consistent, okay? So let me explain. Imagine today you're like, okay, Dahlia, I'll choose what I want. I want to choose visits, okay? Which is actually the person. So Dahlia counts as a visit, and she views 10 pages. So your visit is 1. And on Amazon, and I think on Google Analytics, it's called sessions, okay? So that's what that is. And so to be consistent means if you are checking your conversion rates on Etsy and using visits, okay, which is people, not the page views they viewed, then you want to make sure that you're using still visits or sessions on the other platforms so you know how to compare, right? So you're comparing apples to apples. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you may say, Dahlia, well, which one should I use? Which one do you prefer? I don't have a preference. I am so used to using views. That's why I continue to use. However, platforms like Amazon will automatically calculate the one with sessions, and I'm okay with that. My conversion rates are pretty decent, so I don't look at them often. Like I'm not gonna be using these 9 steps today, for example. Like I already do these 9 steps, so does that make sense? So I just say there's no major recommendation, you know. The reality is you are converting what you're converting, and I'm hoping that you will try to improve no matter what, okay? So no matter what that number is, I'm hoping you still try to improve, okay? That's great. So now I want to mention one more thing, not to confuse you, but the more accurate way to use views, the number of page views, is when you're dividing it by the number of units sold, okay? Not number of orders, okay? So let me explain that. And so, somebody calling me? No, go away. So, in my opinion, okay, so when Dahlia goes and views 10 pages, it's more accurate to calculate conversion rate depending on how many items does she order, okay? But no platform does it that way. Amazon does it backwards. They do number of people divided by number of units sold. So that flips what I just said. And Etsy, they don't do the calculation. They don't do the calculation for you. You do it. But before, they used to only give you views and number of orders. Okay, so both of them kind of flipped it, in my opinion. However, it doesn't matter which one you use, guys, because you have to know, you use one. Okay, again, I particularly use number of orders divided by number of views. Okay, that's what I use, that's what I'm comfortable with, etc. But it's important that you consistently do that amongst all platforms if you're looking to compare. Okay, I don't look to compare because some platforms do better than others. We'll talk about that in just actually the next thing before we go into the 9 steps. So just be consistent. Okay, so you know if you are, let's say on Etsy, let's say my .com, I have Google traffic and blah blah traffic and Pinterest traffic. I know that my regular conversion rate, let's say, is 5%. Okay, and so if I see some things converting less, I know that it needs to be improved because I'm using the same calculation over and over again, right? Because on Etsy, I'm converting at whatever percent, like a much higher one. So I should be improving certain listings. Okay, so yeah, looks good. So we got it. All right, let me send a little comment into the comment world because, again, my comments won't load unless I send a comment. Okay, so would you mind sharing the number of views for your top product? I mean, that's going to be impossible to do during this Facebook Live. I sell on multiple platforms, so I would need to like go to each one, and it's a mess. It's too much work, to be honest, to do it right now while everybody's kind of like watching me. So yeah, I can't do that at this moment. So now let's talk about expected conversion rates. Karina says, what's a good conversion rate? She's at 27,000 views and 896 orders. Let me get my calculator out. Let's just, great example, right? 896 divided by 27,344. So you're looking at a 3.2% conversion rate. That's pretty good. Okay, so here is the blanket statement that is across the web. What is a good conversion rate? They say 1 to 3% online. Okay, so that's like your middle ground. You're like, okay, 1 to 3%. I'm all gravy when I'm 1 to 3%. Okay. However, let's talk a little bit more in detail about expected conversion rates amongst platforms and traffic sources. And this is important because when you start to do the next 9 steps, you should consider these, because if something's underperforming and it's coming from, if something's underperforming as far as conversion rate, people are viewing it but not purchasing, and it's coming from your email list, that's a problem because usually they have higher conversions on email list. If it's from Pinterest, maybe not so hard. Don't be so hard on yourself because they expect lower conversions there. So it's important to understand this when you're doing these 9 steps later. Okay. So expected conversion rates. Again, the blanket statement is 1 to 3%. Okay. And that's not said. Nobody tells you, oh, that's the conversion rates of using views to visits to whatever. They just tell us this. Okay. And so I've always went by that when doing number of orders divided by number of views. Okay. Now let's talk about the different platforms. Etsy, I expect that to be around that amount. Okay. I know we had some crazy fluctuations on Etsy, but nonetheless, that's a really healthy amount to be on Etsy when you're 1 to 3%. Now, when should you be like, chilling, sipping on champagne is when you're over 3%, meaning don't do anything crazy. Don't change anything crazy. I would only expect you to identify the ones that are not so great. That could be holding your 3% back to being a 5% potentially and fixing those. But if you're lower than 1% or creeping on that point where you're like 1.01%, like you're right there, it's important that you identify the ones that suck and improve them, okay? So again, start putting fire up your butts if you're below 1%. If you're above, you're looking good, okay? Now, let's talk about other platforms. It is from experience, from not just myself, but from other sellers, that the conversion rates are much higher on Amazon for a few reasons, guys, okay? Now, again, you don't have to do it right now, but if you go to your reports and business reports and detail page sales and traffic last 30 days, you're going to find that they use the unit session percentage, which is the number of people, right, which is less, okay, compared to the number of units, okay, that have been sold. Hold on. Looks good. So, hold on. So the reality is on Amazon, because of the way they calculate it, it will be naturally higher. Okay, so that's why I said to you earlier, it doesn't matter if you use page views or visits or whatever. Amazon uses their own calculation. The point is, as long as you be consistent. As long as you're consistent on each platform. Let's say if I expect my conversion rate on Etsy, I forgot what it was. I think it's like 2.1 or something. That's great. I should not be shooting for that on Amazon because my conversion rate naturally on Amazon is way higher. What is it? Oh, they don't give you the average anymore. Oh. Didn't they used to give us an average toward the bottom, guys? Okay, well, the point is it's naturally higher for me. So when I do my conversion work, which I'm about to show you the 9 steps with you, make sure that when you're doing on Amazon, you know what your conversion rate should be on Amazon, the average, whatever. And, you know, usually, again, it's higher. It should naturally be higher, much higher. And so when doing the work, don't shoot for 1 to 3%. It should be much higher. And when you're doing Etsy work, it should be 1 to 3%. When you know what I'm saying? And this topic could get really complicated, so I'm not going to get into it even further, but just know that also it depends on where you're getting your traffic. Most times, well, I actually don't know this, but on Amazon, sometimes we do get traffic from Pinterest, from social, from, you know, a lot of places. People do pin our products. People do share our products on Amazon. I've seen my Amazon products pinned all over, you know, but just know that it's important to compare apples to apples. So 1 to 3%, the one I gave you, is not going to apply to Amazon, okay? It may not even apply to your website, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. So, yes, I'm sitting here telling you that I can't give you an exact conversion rate for each platform because I don't know everything, right? But it's important to know that there's different platforms and how they calculate conversion rate is important, and how you get the traffic to that platform is really important to understand. Like if it's all highly targeted traffic, then expect your conversion rates to be higher. And if they're not, that's a problem. So let's talk about the traffic sources and the types of conversion rates that they should be bringing in. Okay, this will help you understand, write this down. So when you're looking at your stats, you're like, I expect this to be lower because I'm getting a lot of traffic from Pinterest. No big deal. But this one should be higher because I'm getting a lot of traffic from email list or from search. That should be higher. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so traffic sources. Let's go over each one, and I'm gonna give you just quick tips on what they should be. When you're getting traffic from SEO, meaning people search for you and find your listing, okay, the conversion rates should be standard. Okay, they shouldn't be crazy high. They should, now if you are selling on Etsy or Amazon, they should be standard. Okay, when people search for you and find you on places like Google, right, and they clicked your listing and they're on your website where there's not other competitors, they should naturally be a little bit higher. You guys follow me? Because when you're on Etsy, they can shop around, okay? It's a little easier. But nonetheless, on SEO, conversion should be good. It should be standard, okay? When people search for you, they have a need, which means that they should probably convert, okay, if you fill their need, which we'll go over in the 9 steps, okay? But let's talk about other platforms and traffic sources, because when you're looking at your listings and seeing conversion rates or whatever, understand that if you keep sending links into like the spam world of Twitter and Facebook groups, your conversions will be really, really low. Not because your products suck. It may suck, by the way, but maybe because maybe because the way you're getting traffic sources, it maybe not be high quality, so expect lower conversions. And so another tip is when you send traffic from email lists, they should naturally be higher. Again, that only matters if you have a decent amount of people on your email list. Don't expect, a whole bunch of sales if you only have 100 people on your email list, right? It's all about conversions. But naturally, email should be high because it's targeted. Okay, people have joined you. They're a fan of yours because they've either purchased your product, they probably signed up for your coupon code, they purchased your product. Depending on your product type, of course, this all depends, guys. It's all these ifs, ands, and buts, right? Maybe the need to repurchase your product that often is not as large. If you also don't have a variety of product the conversion rates may be lower. So there's all these little loopholes that you have to consider, but naturally email list is higher. What else? So next, Pinterest. I talked about this before during my Pinterest webinar launch, that Pinterest naturally has low conversions, okay? So if you're getting a lot of your listing traffic from Pinterest, expect it to drop your conversion down a little bit. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, particularly when you're like, oh, why is this listing not converting? It's not necessarily a bad thing. The beauty of Pinterest may not be the conversion rate, but it does eventually convert, but it's the amount of traffic you get. So again, bring out a calculator over here. Imagine you're like, Dahlia, my conversions for Pinterest is 0.5%, so much lower than my 3%. Let's just say you're saying that, okay? And so that sounds sad, but Pinterest brings a lot of traffic into you, okay? So, if your standard traffic brings you only 1,000 views a month, but Pinterest brings you, let's just say an example, over time, 10,000 views a month, okay? So that 0.5% doesn't look too shabby, right? So you're losing 10,000 views. Again, this is an example, times did I say 0.5%? Yeah, 0.5%. Yeah, 0.5%. So I times it by 0.0005. That's 50. That's 50 orders, okay? So how do I say this? Compared to your, let's say, 3% on your 1,000 views, which is 1,000 views times 3%, that's 30 orders. So yes, while Pinterest is a lower conversion rate, because it brings you so much traffic, it still may be good for you. So that's just a side note, because I'm a big fan of Pinterest. But just know that Pinterest usually is a lower conversion rate. And here's why. Let me explain why to each one of these. Explain why this looks good. Why email list is higher. Let me explain why Pinterest is lower, because there's no brand loyalty there. They're skimming around for either a gift, an idea of what to buy their friends or somebody, or how to plan their nursery. They might run into your product that they absolutely love, okay? However, a lot of people plan, how they use Pinterest is very different than just a regular e-commerce, platform. And so it naturally does lead to lower conversion rates, okay? Let me make sure I send a comment into the comment world. I'm not missing any comments, okay? Okay, so I meant on Etsy. What do you mean on Etsy? We'll get back to that. I'm gonna roll here. Okay, so okay, so we talked about SEO, email list. Okay, Pinterest for traffic sources. Again, I mentioned even earlier, Amazon expects it to be higher, naturally, because of the way they calculate their conversion rates. And there's a lot more buyers that trust the Amazon platform. It's well known. You get the point. Is there any other traffic sources I'm missing? I feel like there's a lot of traffic sources I'm missing, but I can't put my finger to it. Social media in general, I actually don't know what the standard conversion rate is for that. I don't, but I do know it's very hard to. It's hard in many ways, because you have to keep staying active in order to get that traffic. And I'm not really sure what the conversion rate is. I can't expect it to be very high, in my opinion. I would believe it's standard or below standard, if done properly, right? Because if you use your social media properly, then maybe, but otherwise I expect it to be fairly low. All right, so knowing that conversion rates can differ depending on where you bring your traffic from, okay, and the platforms you have, let's get into the 9 steps. This is the 9 steps that I want you to write down. And the reality is, if you write these down, and then you personally want to work on your conversion rates, you could literally leave this Facebook Live and start following these steps. Okay, it's almost like an action plan. It's almost like I did a coaching call with you, and I said to you, this is what you have to work on. Yes, coaching calls are more personalized and specific, where I actually tell you exactly what's wrong with your shop and stuff like that. But, if you don't have that luxury right now, and obviously I'm not offering the coaching sessions at this moment, you have this for free. You could go through this. And by the way, even if, let's say like in a coaching session, I might tell you to work on 2 of the 9 things, okay? And that would have saved you much more time. Yes, granted, but it's not a bad thing to work on all these 9 things, because it will help make your shop the best it can be. Got it? And your listings or whatever, okay? So let's get started. I have my little notes here, so I'm going to be following my notes to make sure I hit all these points, okay? So the 9 steps to improve your conversion rate. The reality is, first you have to check your conversion rate, okay? In general, check your conversion rate in general. I told you how to do that. It's really simple. Orders divided by number of views or visits, however you want to do it, okay? Understand what your conversion rates are, okay? That's simple. Now, number two, okay, it's like step number one, but better, because understanding your conversion rate, it leads you nowhere. Like, if you're like, okay, my shop converts at a 1%, I have to improve that. Where do I start, right? Like, so let me narrow it down for you into step number two, okay? But it's still important to understand your general shop conversion rate on all platforms. Step number two is identify the listings that are bringing your conversions down. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first of all, the point of doing that is because your 1% conversion rate is maybe like something hidden, meaning maybe you actually have better conversions, but it's hidden because all your sucky listings are bringing it down, right? And so it's important to identify what the bad listings are, okay? And it's important to identify what those are and then, of course, improve them. So how do you do this? Really simple. You go to, and on Etsy, you just go to your stats. Again, last 30 days is really important. Don't do any shorter time frame. If you are a very slow shop, meaning like you're newer, you still haven't got a traffic groove, then maybe you do it over the course of 90 days. I don't know. Okay, but you have to have at least some good views to determine whether or not it's converting or not. You can't determine something's converting when you only have 100 views. Certainly should have at least converted once, but that's not a good indication whether or not it's actually a good listing or not, okay? So you have to have at least several hundred views, a couple hundred at least, okay, to say, this listing needs work, okay? When you go to your stats, you do last 30 days. If that doesn't give you enough views, do last 90 days. Do last whatever days, okay, to give you at least enough. Go to the back of your pages, which shows you the least amount of, you go to the tab that shows listings, and then you go to the one that's least viewed, okay? That number should at least be in the couple hundred, if not at least 100, especially if you're a really slow shop. Okay, that's when you need to determine, okay, this I can attack it, but you're not giving something a fair chance if it only has 50 views or 45 views because it didn't get a chance to convert yet. Not when people saw it, okay? So that's that. Now, so I want to tell you that find your lowest performers and start attacking them. So that's how you do on Etsy. On Amazon, you go to business reports, and you could sort by page views and see the one that brings in the lowest. Okay, do 30 days at least. You can do the same thing for your website. If your website platform has that feature, you go to Google Analytics, you do the exact same thing. Okay, the point is to identify which listings have a decent amount of views but not enough sales, so it converts low. Okay, now you have to get organized a little bit. Do one platform at a time. Okay, it's important you do that, especially if you have multiple platforms. It's important that you organize yourself by not like attacking all of them at once. Okay, it's one at a time. In my opinion, you might have a different, plan. That's okay. But imagine I have this listing for this personalized gold wallet, and I saw that it sucked. Okay, so my advice to you is find this listing, see that it sucks, okay, and start working on it. And the next steps, I'll tell you what those are. As opposed to identifying all the crazy listings, somehow keeping track of them and writing them down somewhere, that could be it might be hard for people to keep track of. However, if you wanted to identify the first one, if you have these items skewed, that might be easier. So you might say the SKU number is gold 1, okay, and the next gold wallet is gold 2, gold 3. And so you're identifying the ones that are bad and writing them down. And so then you have a list of all the SKUs that you have to work on. And that may be helpful if you just want to chunk so you can attack it. Or if you want to do one at a time, write down the first one. You still have to write it down because you have to keep track of what you improved and the date you improved it. Because if today you work on your conversion for that item, okay, you want to check in 30 days to see how it did, guys. Right? That's the point of all this, not to just like try these things out, and you have to keep track of it just in the most organized manner. So regardless if you check all your listings all at once or not, the point is write it down. You found this gold wallet. It sucks at conversion. And so you write it down. Now, the first thing you do is check the traffic sources. Now, on Amazon, you can't do it, but you could do this on Google Analytics if you have a website, or on Etsy. If the traffic sources, like I mentioned earlier, should be converting good, such as SEO, email list, whatever, and it's not, then yes, you have to improve it. If it's a majority of the traffic, majority meaning more than 50%, is coming from traffic sources that provide less conversion rates, such as Pinterest or imagine you are a spammer. I know this sounds really mean, but some of us I know out there put your links out in social media world where it doesn't even belong, and in Facebook groups it doesn't belong. You're trying to sell, you know those groups, like for like, whatever. Those will naturally bring your conversion rates down. So if you see a lot of traffic coming from Facebook and you put your listing out there, not really, thinking much, then that's probably the reason why. So that listing, it may not be a fair chance to try to fix it if the traffic sources are bringing it down. Because if you take out those traffic sources from the mix, maybe the other things will prove to you that indeed it does convert higher. Does that make sense, guys? Let me make sure I'm not missing any comments here. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I think that makes sense. Hit the like button if it makes sense, so I can continue after step number 2. Remember, we're supposed to identify the listings that do not do well, that are not doing well, especially if they have a good traffic source, okay? If they have a sucky traffic source, it's not a good indication you should improve that listing. You may still want to try to if it's completely horrible, like 5,000 views and no sales, right? But you get the point, okay? See a lot of like buttons, we can move on. All right, so that's step number 2. Identify the listing. So now I wrote gold wallet 1. I wrote pink stapler 2. And by the way, this is an example. Obviously, I don't sell these, but these are like example products. I'm just giving you an example. And I'm writing down the SKUs. However you want to identify them. If you have no SKUs, write down the product type. I don't know. Okay? So now I have 2 products identified that suck. Okay? That suck as far as conversions. What do you do next? Now, I don't know if I want to tell you step number 3 yet. I might just bring that to the end. Okay? Or it might save you some headache and time. So in fact, I'm gonna bring this up twice. It actually makes the most sense. In fact, our 9-step checklist will actually turn into 10-step, which I like that better because it's a more even number. Let me edit this post. Okay. I edited the post, now it's 10-step checklist, okay? So this next thing is really important for you to pay attention to. And it's hard for me to say, but I'll just say it. Now that you identified what the problem children are, right? This listing doesn't perform. How do we fix it? Here's the next few steps you have to do to fix it. The first step is to think about the product type, design, something. Does it meet your customer's need? Now, this is a really broad topic. It probably deserves its own Facebook Live. I actually did talk about product development in a Facebook Live probably maybe a few weeks ago, so check that out. But the reality is sometimes we create products. Okay. I don't have something I can show you. Then we create products that while people do want a stapler, they don't want a pink one. Or they don't want it to be pink and silver. They want it to be pink and gold. Or the way you shape this, is not ideal. They want it more like hard edges, like sharp edges as opposed to rounded. And this is just an example. Obviously, I don't sell staplers, but the reality is sometimes we don't want to believe this, but our product, this is for lack of a better phrase, sucks, right? It doesn't meet the customer's need. And so yes, you could go ahead and tweak that product, or just say to yourself, you know what, I didn't, can we all agree for a second, and me included, that when I first start creating products, okay, are we not, unless you're brand new still to selling online, are you or were you not embarrassed of your first products that you created? Meaning the stuff that you first, sorry, am I speaking English correctly? The stuff that you first designed or created, right? Now, some of them probably are still around, okay? But can we all agree that some of the ones that we created originally are not great? Like, what was I thinking type of moments, right? As far as design-wise or whatever, okay? Hit the like button if you know what I'm talking about, or comment below. Because sometimes as we grow, I've been doing this for, how long have I been doing this? 7 years now. I've been doing this online business for 7 years. Wow. Officially, probably for a little over 4 years or something. No, 4 years exactly, actually. So, wow. Yeah, 4 years exactly. Wow. Okay. So I still am learning when I create new products that sometimes they might not be a match for my customer. And so I talked about this during another Facebook Live. I'm not here to tell you whether the product is good or not for customers. It's important that you understand your target market over time, but be open to the fact that, this looks good, that the product type you may have, this exact design, and maybe the product type in general, may be a fail, okay? And actually, if you're wondering, is my product a fail? I completely agree with you. How do I know if my product's a failure? If it's, time to if you go through all these steps and there's still issues, there's a good chance then you probably fell into a product that doesn't meet your target customer's needs. We'll talk about that more toward the end of the steps, okay? The point is, my most recent design collection, I think I have like 30 new designs, I forget. And I was listing them. And I want you to think of it like this. If I said to you, whatever, okay, I have 30 listings going up, 10 of them, if I told you 10 of them will be sold over the weekend, and you're working on your SEO on Friday, you're putting them up, you're working on your SEO on Friday, which 10 of the 30 would you want to put up? Meaning that when your customer sees it, they're going to love. They're going to love because it meets their needs. It's beautiful. It's a home run, right, that you really believe in. And there's a few other tactics I use to know whether or not my product is a home run. But I urge you to do that and understand whether or not you really believe in this product, okay? However, if you're new to business, this may be a harder task for you because you don't understand what your customers' needs are or whatever. So I'm going to move on from this step, but the reality is you have to understand that sometimes the product we create don't meet the customer's needs. You might think it's a fabulous product, and it may be, but there's certain elements of it that is not right, okay? Have you ever shopped online when you're like, crap, I need this, but I need it in a different size, or I need this, but I need this, and this is different. I love this, but it has to be a different color, and it doesn't meet my need, and I walk away. Or why do certain colors sell out faster than others, right? In regards to, let's say, fashion or something like that, and so, and then why is it that when you walk into a store, their clearance section is full of the exact same top over and over again? Because that design was not a winner, okay? They didn't meet the customer's needs. And sometimes we will have that no matter how experienced we are, okay? We're going to come back to this full circle on the 10th step. Let's move on, okay? So first, you might want to ask yourself, is this meet my customer's needs? If you don't know the answer yet, then follow the next few steps. If you know the answer and say, you know what, I'm not proud of this design. It does suck. I don't understand why a customer would want to buy this when her needs are this and, blah, blah. And just because we could create it doesn't mean we should be creating it, okay? Just because we have, the printers and paper doesn't mean we should be creating everything in this world, right? We have to be not only business owners, but, creative entrepreneurs who meet the needs of our customers. Okay, now I'm going to move on from this topic because I keep beating a dead horse. All right, so let's move on. Consider the product type. We're not sure if it's, meets the customer's needs. I'm going to still go with my next few steps, okay? So the next step, and these next steps, by the way, are not new, okay? The things I talked about before, but it's important that you write these down and identify what's going on with each, okay? Photos, okay? And then, by the way, these next few steps, you might say, Dalia, I get these next few steps, but I don't know if mines are wrong or not. I'm going to help you identify if it is wrong or not during this Facebook Live, okay? So photos, it's really simple, okay? We talk about photos so many times. I'm just going to sum it up for you. If you want to learn more about photos, I talk about plenty of it in the Facebook Lives previously. So check out that link, up above. I have that website link where it shows you all my Facebook Lives. Go to the photo section, boom, you'll see it. Photos is the soul of online selling. One of the souls of online selling. That and SEO, in my opinion. And if your photos are not attractive, at minimum attractive, it's not going to work. And of course, attractive photos are all about lighting, composition, and things of the sort. Again, look at that Facebook Live. But another piece to the photos is whether or not you feel like that photo could be featured in a magazine, a very high-end magazine. If not, you have another problem, because if you're trying to build your online business, we're not going to start out with perfect photos, but you have to know you have to progress. Okay, I didn't start out with perfect photos. I think my photos were actually pretty decent, but I knew I had to step it up a notch. I happened to hire a photographer. However, some of my photos are still taken by me. My notepad photos, for example, okay? So it's important that you continue to learn when you are running your own business, especially if you're not, a big old business and you don't have multiple people doing different jobs, like you're doing it all yourself. You have to learn, okay? Or you hire it out. Now, besides obviously a fantastic product photo, there's other photos you may be missing, okay? And I see this a lot. I still see it a lot in Facebook Live and coaching sessions. Additional photos such as, and again, I have a whole Facebook Live dedicated to what additional photos you should be doing, like I think 7 additional photo ideas you could put on Etsy, and you could apply this to any platform, okay? So look at that video. But a few for you to think about is, is a photo that shows your variations, okay? We'll talk about variations in a moment, obviously, but show that shows your variations. So if you have variations, you have to show customers what they would look like. So if you have a color chart, a font chart, a chart of some sort, okay? If you only have a few options, and show them exactly that photo, okay? I've seen people who have options that say, oh, here's a headband, okay? Here's a picture of a headband, but do you want the hard headband or the elastic one? But there's no picture of the elastic. Or they have an option for the wide headband. There's no picture of the wide headband. And so those actually need to be shown as product photos as opposed to a chart. And so there's questions left unanswered for the customer, okay? So it's important that, this looks good. It's important that you use additional photos to help the customer, okay? And again, I dedicated a whole Facebook Live to this. I talk about other things you could do in the photos to help you convert, email list sign up, okay? Additional product photos. I mean, there's multiple things you could do, okay? But the reality is, this Facebook Live is not to teach you how to do great product photos. I talk about that in many other Facebook Lives. But the reality is, you need to go through these steps and check off and say, okay, remember how we wrote down the SKUs of the products that are not performing? And say, okay, product number 1, which is the gold wallet, is not performing. How are the photos? You have to go through each of these steps with each of these listings and improve, okay? So this gold wallet, do I love the photos? No. I have to retake them. I have to learn how to do better, which obviously could help in my entire shop. I have to provide a color chart that shows the other color options that I have besides the gold, or the pattern options, or blah, blah. Or if I have a personalization feature, I have to show them where it would look like, where would I put the personalization, so etc. Okay, so you have to work through it. Okay, and make sure I'm not missing any comments into the comment world. Let's move into the next tip. Oh, I have a lot of comments. Hold on. That's true, Natalie. It's one product may be better on one platform versus another based on the target market. Okay, so remember, as I mentioned, target market, right? It's not a sucky product per se, but it doesn't meet the customer's needs for that target. And so yes, it could work on a different platform. Absolutely, absolutely. Stacy said, what is your opinion on favorites on Etsy? For example, a product has a lot of views and favorites, but not many sales. Favorites is not an indicator to me that I should keep a product or not. If something has a lot of views and favorites, again, I would check where the traffic source is coming from. So the follow-up question for Stacy and everybody else is, okay, if it's all SEO and if it's really good traffic sources, then definitely work on the things to improve, okay? Or that product itself is good, but there's something about it that doesn't meet the customer's need. That's my opinion. If it comes from good traffic source and people click on it. Yeah, and depending on how long have you judged this listing for? If it's just 30 days, you might need a little bit longer to judge it, okay? Or again, the product might be good, but there's something about it as an element. And usually that's what the case is. The product is good, but the element, imagine I have a product this soccer ball stationery, right? The idea is good, but the way I placed it, the thing, is not good, so consider that, okay? Okay, let me move on to the next step, okay? This is a long Facebook Live, as usual. Variations. It's a really important one. I see, again, I feel like I'm saying things that everybody should know, but I see many coaching sessions and critiques that people still don't know how to use it properly. And I see variations like either go unused or not used properly. Variations are meant to make your customer's life easier and offer options or variations that customers need. So when looking at your product, what are the most popular questions asked, you know? And say, in this gold wallet, it is the color of the wallet and potentially the size. I don't know. What are your customers' needs? And so understanding your customer needs is really important with variations. And so for me, it would be in color and envelope color. That's what they have to choose in order to complete the transaction. So making it easy for them. Okay. I wish Etsy gave us more options. Amazon does variations, but reality is I know Etsy doesn't. My .com allows me to have as many as I want. But just know that even though Amazon and .com allow you to have much more variations, doesn't mean you should give people 20 variations. Okay. Just know that leaving people confused and not understanding, you know, overwhelmed or whatever may be a problem. Which leads me to my next point of variations, okay? And these are all like little tips in each of the steps, okay? If you have too many options within a variation, that may be hard for people to determine and pick, okay? So for example, I talked about this with my assistant the other day. We have a design that has several different color options you have to pick from. And she said to me, I believe it was her, she said to me, don't you think people may be confused? No. I think I said it. I forget. That I wonder how people pick their ink colors without visualizing it and seeing it. I worry that they're left not knowing and leave. That's a good point, right? Not knowing what to pick, okay? In my case, it happens to be 4 ink colors and then the name of an ink color. So that's why in that particular listing, I have several photos that show you, in my opinion, the most popular color combinations. And what do you know? People usually pick, okay, for the most part, that first photo of the in color combination. They try to guess what the color is, and they're usually on point, and they put it as a checkout. So when you have options that may confuse people, too many options, usually it's the in color options or fonts, whatever, show them examples of the product, finished product as a photo, and show them how it would look like. So for me, it's different color options combined together. You know, for you, it may be the wallet color plus the stitching color. Show them the different, how it looked like. Don't let them guess how it might look like, okay? Also, I offer proof, so that helps, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So another thing, these variations to help you, not just conversions, but help your pocket, is adding a price point to them, so upselling. So I don't particularly use them for that reason. That's fine, but you may want to. Some people might offer different sizes within a variation or what have you. But if you don't have a use for a variation, a really good one, try to see if you could upsell them on something, a matching item or a personalization if you're able to do that with your resources or something, just to get a little bit extra money, and it may actually meet their need even better. Okay. I actually did this. Well, it doesn't cost extra, but I did this for one of my stationery sets. People a lot of times wanted the word "thank you" written on it as opposed to the kid's name. So people always ask me questions. Can I write "thank you"? Can I write "thank you"? Can I write "thank you"? I'm like, yes, you can. You can write whatever you want. So instead, I put a variation that says personalized option or something, and then they could choose from the word "thank you" or personalized with name. And that answered their question for them. So, I mean, again, you're not going to know all the answers today, but as you learn from customers, you start to change things. Till this day, Jessica knows that we continuously change listings, depending on what it is and what's going on, based on how the customer behaves, okay? And so sometimes the task is like a simple one. Hey, Jess, this customer brings up a good point. Let's change this listing to make it more, make more sense. Or, you know what, this makes more sense. Let's change all these listings to make this, So let me make sure I hit a comment into the comment world and I'm not missing any comments. No comments missed. So the point is, now that you have this gold wallet, your item, you thought about the photos, you fixed the photos, you whatever, or you have an action plan at least to fix the photos, because as you're doing this 10 steps, you have to create an action plan to help you fix these things, right? So if you know your photos are rock star, then you can skip that step. If you know you have to improve your your variations, then work on it. Do you have the right variations for your customers' needs? Do you find that people still ask you questions over simple things? So you change those variations to those questions instead. to help answer those questions. Do you have photos that match those variations, etc.? Okay, are they professional looking? I mean, I've seen some crazy color charts, so consider that, all of that, okay? Now, in no particular order after this, in my opinion, but another thing to consider now that we went over that step of variations is shipping. Shipping is very simple and straightforward, guys. Price your shipping fairly and charge what you should, right? So it cost me, let's say, $2.60 to ship this. I put an envelope. That envelope cost me 10 cents. Blah, 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 blah. Charge them $3.10. However you calculate your shipping and handling, okay? Do the calculation. You should know that, by the way. If you're running a business, you should know your cost of your shipping and all that stuff. What it costs not just to ship, but the actual packaging and stuff. That should be part of your cost, shipping and handling, okay? So fair pricing is important. So double check your most recent orders if you have orders and say, am I charging fairly, okay? And if not, fix it. Sometimes it's a little annoying to fix shipping because sometimes it's hard to figure out depending on the platform you're on, but it's obviously really important. It's well known that people do leave their cart because of shipping, okay? It's not a new thing. It's a very well known thing, okay? They leave items in their cart, etc. So consider that, okay? And make sure that you're charging fairly, okay? And don't worry about people that say, oh, you're charging too much, but that's exactly what you should be charging. However, make sure that you have exhausted your resources to make sure that you're actually shipping the best price, using, priority mail boxes if you need to. Like, there's different tricks that I didn't know of when I first started, okay? And maybe one day I'll do a Facebook Live dedicated to that. Probably not just shipping expenses, but all expenses, right? Let me write that down. Actually, I did have it written down on my Trello. Yeah, it's written down. It's kind of written in a different way, but I would love to do that as a own Facebook Live, because there's ways to help put more money in your pocket, right? And one of them is obviously lower the price of shipping, right? The handling part. So of course you could help that for your customer, okay? Anyway, so that's that. So double check those. However, there's a couple more things you consider with shipping. Experiment with, offers, right? Flat rate shipping offers, maybe an offer during the less busy times of the season, right? Traditionally when you have people are dying to buy products during holiday season, you don't have to necessarily put crazy sales and offer free shipping, whatever. It would be nice. You have to test it out for yourself. But when times are slow, I'll say my times during summer months are particularly slow. Like after June, so July, August, September, particularly slow. Those would be a good time for me to offer free shipping to entice people to want to buy. Does that make sense? Or buy this many and get free shipping. So shipping can obviously help conversion rates because that's well known. So of course, charging fair pricing and of course experimenting with shipping offers if you wish. You don't have to, but just consider it, okay? To test it out, if anything, okay? Let's move on to step 7. Yes, we're up to step 7. Step 7 is descriptions. Okay, I'm going to go over this really quick, okay? But this should be enough for you to understand. Descriptions should be not big old paragraphs that I don't want to read, okay? That's what happens when you have big old paragraphs that people don't want to read. It's not well laid out, okay? It should be well formatted. So well laid out and well formatted. What does that mean? You're talking about bullet points. You're talking about sectioning off your description so it's easier to skim, easier to read. So when you're looking at, you might have a product that requires for people to understand the features, how to order, add-ons, blah, blah, blah. You could highlight those things like features in caps lock. And then how to order in caps lock, blah, blah, blah. So then somebody's eyes can skim. However you want to format it so it's easier to read. If you're trying to tell people steps and follow in a certain order, use numbered bullets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. You're just trying to highlight some points like features and bullet points of any type of bullet point, doesn't matter, a dash or whatever, okay? Doing that makes things easier to read, okay? So it's important that you look at your description and say, okay, is this easy to read? Is it well laid out? Another tip for descriptions is putting in links in there that help people shop. So if somebody's looking at this gold wallet, what type of link should you put in that description, okay? link should put in the description is a link back to your section of other wallets, okay? Another link should be the search within your shop that says gold wallets, okay? So if people want other gold wallets, but not this one, they show them other ones. And then obviously back to your shop entirely, okay? So, so that's another tip. Now, depending on what platform you sell on, this will vary, but do you have your customers' most frequently asked questions laid out in this description, okay? If you are on your own .com platform, you probably have your own FAQ section, okay? So that should be easily reachable on each listing, whether it be in the header or footer or both, okay? So consider those as well. Hold on. Does my car work? Oh, I'm not done. I just wanted to know. It works? That's good news. Love you. Where are you going? Where are you going? Okay, so I'm gonna pick up Juju, right? Okay, sounds good. All right, anyway, guys, sorry. So descriptions. Again, I'm not gonna get into it fully, but those are several tips you could use. If your descriptions don't follow these tips, get it on your to-do list, right? Remember, we're trying to write an action plan for you, right? From all these 9 steps. You know, find out the bad listings and use these 9 steps to actually start attacking these listings, okay? And hold on to your question, or you can ask the question down below. I'm not gonna see in just a moment. I'm gonna go through the other couple of steps left, and then I'm gonna tell you some. I know this question you're dying to know. Okay, 1 second. Next, this next step these next 2 steps may be difficult, but I'm just gonna say it. Pricing. So I'm not gonna tell you what to price your products. One, you have to make a profit. We get that, but again, I'm gonna do another Facebook Live about lowering your expenses. So this may help in the future. Okay, be more competitive. So is your pricing competitive compared to your competitors? Okay, if you're said Dahlia, yes it is, like I'm right around there, like I'm like boom, middle ground with them, then great. But if not and you're higher, okay, what was that? If not and you're higher, then you need, okay, sorry, I'm getting, okay. If it's higher, then does your shop communicate that you have a better product? First of all, why is it higher? Okay, if you have a good reason, like Dahlia, I have a good reason. This is not just blah. This is actual leather, blah blah. I don't know, something, right? Whatever makes your product more special. But is it evident to your viewers? Okay, and that can be hard to convey. It can be hard to convey because you're not a salesperson in person, so you're not able to say, "Hey, Sally, this is real leather," blah blah blah. You can't. So sometimes you have to do some tricks. Some people like to add text to their photos. Some people like to make sure that they have that evident in a variation, so they could choose their material, so people know, oh, the higher cost material is obviously leather. If you have, by the way, pricing, showing the quality of your shop will lead into my next point, which is you have a professional appearance. So listen to this. I've paid money a little bit more for things that I trusted the shop. Okay, they have better photos, they look more professional, they have more reviews. Like if you have all these, you could back up, and maybe we could dedicate another Facebook Live to that. But if you have all this stuff to back up your reputation, then you probably could charge a little bit more. Okay, so that's just FYI. So we're not gonna talk about pricing in detail, but that's just like a general thing. Last but not least, no, not last, second to last but not least, is professional appearance, okay? Now, you don't have control over certain things on certain platforms, right? But particularly on Etsy and Amazon, you do have control over how well laid out your descriptions are, your photos, right? All that stuff, right? But you have more of a job to do when it comes to professional appearance when it comes to your website. Okay, I've talked about it before, again, in Facebook Live. I feel like I always refer to other Facebook Live. I talk about a lot of topics. So if you're like, I'm new here, I don't know what you're talking about, click the link up above. I have all of them there. But Is your website easy to use? And again, you can't control how easy Etsy and Amazon are, but you can tell them in the description how to check out, okay? Which I recommend. Can I get back to you on this? Because I need to talk about it like the other one.
Okay.
Where's the other one? Oh, here it is. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so, sorry. So, professional appearance, easy to use, but you have more, you have more creative freedom on your own website. But sometimes people with creative freedom on the website, they don't actually make it work well. So make it easy to use. Is your policies filled out? You have an FAQ section. I mean, all these little things. If you have my Google SEO webinar, you probably had the free websites that convert webinar. Please check that out. This will help you with that. It's really important that your website feels trustworthy. You have reviews. Again, I talk about this in another Facebook Live. It's important that you probably binge watch all my Facebook Lives in order to really understand how to do all these, like get these in detail. But I'm just giving you a few tips so you can start writing these down and really start attacking each one of these if that's what you need. And you might say, Daddy, I'm left with a huge to-do list now. That's not fair. I mean, well, the reality is, obviously, if you have a coaching session with me, your to-do list will be much more lower because I'll tell you exactly what you have to work on. This is obviously just a Facebook Live. It's free, so I know nobody's complaining. But it's never a bad thing to go back and rework some of these. Now, before I go to the last thing, my last tip, as a seller, how do I take all Dahlia's 10 tips, since I don't know exactly what I should be working on? Do I work on all of them? Maybe, but it's important to work on the most important ones first. And a lot of times we know the answer to that, guys. We know the answer. You guys are smart, okay? A lot of times I find that, well, not all the time, but a lot of times I find that you already know the answer. You just need somebody to tell you, or you need Dahlia to tell you for some reason. The reality is you could take your product listing and say, out of the 10 things that Dahlia told me to work on today, what are the ones that stand out the most? Do those first. Do the ones that are really like in your face, like, oh my God, these photos suck and my variations are not right. Work on those first. And when and if you have time, remember, it's all about priorities. When and if you have time, right? Imagine you worked on this gold wallet and you did the photos and the variations for them. Write today's date and that you worked on photos and variations. And if you actually completed them, or write the date that you completed them. Wait 30 days and see how it does. Okay, if it's improving slowly, 30 days, 60 days. If it's improving slowly, okay, then great. If it's not, then probably have to implement a couple other techniques in there, okay? Especially if you're trying to juggle other things that you're doing in your work time. If you have all the time in the world, then keep hitting each one of these. But I know we have to prioritize, so I would work on the ones that stand out the most, okay? Not necessarily the ones that are easiest to complete, but the ones that, if Dahlia were to look at your listing, what do you think I would say? Okay? So that's that. Now, I want to tell you, after all these tips, it's important to understand that number 10 is the same thing as number 3. Which is, after you go through all of these, okay, and you don't have to necessarily go through every single one of these to determine this 10th step, but you may realize it before, okay? But step number 10 is looking back at your product type. So again, it was step number 3, and meaning you did all these things and you realize still not working. I gave it enough time to grow. Let's say you did all these things and you finished on, April 17th, all these things, and I'm giving it 30 to 60 to 90 days and it's still not performing. The views are there, but nobody's converting. Then there's a good chance that it's not a good product. Now, again, it could be tweaked. Okay, maybe you realize what the problem is. If you don't realize what the problem is with that listing in regards to the design, again, this is step number 10, then you probably can't tweak it because you don't know what to tweak exactly. You may have to ask your customers. If you have a social media following or something, and say, well, this may be a little harder to ask. Okay, what's wrong with this? That opens up a whole can of worms. But you may want to show the other version of it and say, which one do you prefer and why, or something, okay? The point is, the reality is you may end up realizing that step number 10 is going back and saying, is this product really right for the customer? You may be in love with it. You may feel like it was right for the customer, but it is not. So, having said that, just feel that may be the time to, one, ignore the product or get rid of it. If you feel like for some reason it's taking up, don't renew it or don't invest that much time. You can still leave it around if you wish, but if it's taking up valuable space in SEO real estate, which means it's at the top of the search for, it's being found for keyword phrases, it's wasting your space. It's wasting your space. Other items could be found instead. Okay? So consider that, please. And now let me look at the comments because I'm sure I'm missing a million comments. Hold on. All right, million comments. Here we go. All right. Okay. When I have something personalized with saying, I usually ask them to put their choice in notes to sell it. People seem to forget that. I remind them in the description. Is there a better way to do this? Yeah, there is. If Etsy gives us a freaking spot personalization. I mean, am I right? Can we keep up with times, Etsy? Sorry. I mean, it's been so long. I mean, and second Amazon did their handmade section. They had like all these like fantastic variations, and Etsy's still trying to figure out their life, trying to get their life together. Anyway, sorry. Just you guys know what I'm saying, right? I see all these like buttons. I think you guys all agree with me. That's how I know I say something that's really on point with you guys. The likes keep coming, keep coming. Anyway, so no, Nancy, if you are clear in your description and it's well organized and it's clear, like, how to order, step number 1, step number 2, blah, blah, people still forget it. It will happen. It happens to me, not too often, but definitely enough, where I notice it. That I would love a personalization section. So no, I mean, the best part is that on Etsy, from my opinion, it's easier to get hold of customers than it is on Amazon. Okay, so yeah, there may be. I mean, some people have put photos that show them, hey, in the notes seller section, like they have a little arrow. Put your personalization here. That may help. And again, going through these steps, you may say, Nancy may say, I already put it in my description. What should I do? It's always good to do better. Okay? It's always okay to say, I have a 2% conversion rate. What could I improve in? Let me look through these steps. Let me look at the low performing ones. Obviously, because even if you have a 2% conversion rate in your shop, some listings may be underperforming for you. You may have a higher conversion rate and not know it. Okay? So fix those funky ones. And by the way, you may hit step number 1 and realize, yeah, this product sucks. Adios. You don't have to even go through the other steps, you realize it doesn't work for your target market. But it's always important to improve, and when you have the time in general. Okay, it's always, I'm always looking to improve no matter what. Okay? All right. So, other questions. I didn't know we were supposed to include price of shipping, materials, and the cost of shipping. Wow. Well, Gwen, if you think about it, why not, right? Because, you can include it in cost of product. It's up to you, but I'd rather do it in shipping materials. So I ship with this bubble mailer here, and I don't know what this cost me. Whatever, 10 cents. I don't know. I do know actually. So if it costs me $2.50 to ship, I have to include this. I have to include. I don't use anything else inside here. Maybe my inserts, which cost me 5 cents or whatever. And maybe, of course, I don't drive each one to the post office. I drive them all together, but maybe putting a cost of an extra 50 cents, I think we should be fine, because obviously if you only ship 10 orders a day and you're driving back and forth to the post office, then that 50 cents is not bad. So doing it because we're not here to lose money on shipping. Another fun tidbit is Amazon charges you on shipping. They charge you 15% on shipping, which sucks, but that's the reality of it. Okay. Karina. Dahlia, I feel like in my descriptions, I talk a lot about what they can and cannot do with my files. I hate this because it turns people off. I think it's also so necessary because when people think that because it wasn't in the description, they can do whatever they want with my files, which is a suggestion. Well, the reality is, Karina, when somebody buys your file, imagine I buy your file today, I can do whatever I want with it, and you won't know it. Some people still may not follow your advice, your rules. Okay, so just know that, right? It's not like somebody bought something and realized they couldn't personalize it, then they're stopped. Like they can't personalize it. This, they can still try to break the rules. Regardless, I think depending on how you put it in your description, bullet points should suffice. I don't know how much you talk about it in your descriptions. Bullet points should suffice. But with digital downloads, it's important that you also include that sheet, the more thorough explanation of what they can and cannot do with the digital download. So if you have a digital download of this planner worksheet. It's not a planner worksheet. This is my scrap paper for writing stuff. It's important that the first page of it should be your rules and regulations. Okay. It may turn people off, but the people that's being turned off, people that probably wanted to use it for the bad reasons. Because reality is, if I wanted to use it for my personal reason, and you said you cannot use it to sell, you cannot use it to share with your friends and family, you cannot use it to blah, 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 it wouldn't turn me off because I'm not using it for that. And that's the reality of it. As long as you don't come off as mean, I think it's fine. Somebody mentioned, I see most people underprice way too much. That's a good point because I mentioned pricing earlier, and I would not suggest this. On certain platforms, by the way, it does actually work. I'm not going to get into that. But that may actually hurt you. People might think that you don't have a really great item, especially if you have a higher end product and you try to price low. Because if I'm looking for a higher end product, like a good product, I'm not going to buy cheap. Like, I sell stationery. I'm not going to buy cheap stationery if I was looking for a better type of stationery. So yes, it could hurt people. And the reality is, if you're on a platform that has other people selling on it, like Amazon, Etsy, you have to compete with pricing sometimes. That's why you guys know it's important to build your own website, build your own following. I mean, it takes time. Don't be, some people out there, I know you guys, I know exactly who you are, not in a mean way, but we get really impatient and we want to make sure that, like, we build this following tomorrow. It does take time. Okay? Preach. So agree. Darn it, forgot it was Tuesday. I'll catch some replay. Oh, damn, Debbie. Okay, let me make sure I'm not missing any other comments before I continue, or actually probably wrap this up. Did I put a comment into the comment world? Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't use stamps.com. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope what you do when you have time, right? We barely have time. I hope you take a look at your stats, okay, for your underperforming platforms and or really understanding what your conversion rate looks like to see if you're actually underperforming. But then look at what your listings are bringing you down, okay, and then start attacking those listings because when they're bringing you down, and two, we could do a better job. Let's always look at to do a better job. Now, here's a pro tip before I leave you, okay, guys? Remember how I mentioned to you, maybe your product sucks, maybe it's not exactly what the customer needs, blah, blah. Well, and that may take a while of experience to understand this is not a winner product for my customer. Nobody's born, starting a business knowing what that is, in my opinion. But a pro tip is to check the listings that are converting better, okay, that are converting fantastically, and figure out what do they like about that product, okay? The reality is, if your descriptions and your variations are the same as in your sucky product compared to your fantastic product, then fine. You can't blame it on descriptions and variations for the sucky one, but improving them will obviously maybe help a little bit. But the reality is, it may be your product type or the actual product. Not every product's a winner. Even with me, guys, every product's a winner, okay? But it's important to look at that product that is a winner and say, what do they like about it? What is it that won them over? Is it the style? What is it that won them over? And so that's the pro tip. Look at what is working for your customers, and not saying design more of it, but design more of it in some form of fashion. Understand what that common denominator is, or that winner formula for those items that are doing fantastic. Whether it be the font choice or whether it be, I don't know, right? And then create it. Okay? That's my little pro tip for you guys. All right, guys, I'm going to check any more comments into the comments world and see if you're rewatching this, and again, I would check the Facebook Lives from previous. I refer to a lot of different Facebook Lives in this Facebook Live regarding photos, and there's many things. So the link is up above. Check it out. It's all done. It's amazing. Okay, check them out. It's easy to look through. I organized it for you guys. Well, Jessica did. What if I have an item and I checked the traffic and found that the item was being found a lot of broader searches For example, if I had a listing for a set of 3 cactus prints and I'm being found for print or wall art, cactus, that are not people searching specifically for my product. Does that have anything to do with low conversion rate? Maybe. So so this is obviously, requires a bit more time, but I will answer this. This is really important. So if I have a product that's getting really general phrases, one, if you're being found for a general phrase, that might hurt you as far as conversion, because so if you could remove those views from that conversion formula, then that might help you figure out the real conversion, only because that's not a good indicator if your product really sucks, because that general phrase doesn't really lead to sales, because it is, how do I say this? It is, people that usually convert usually are more specific. Hold on. Hello? Oh, I thought it was my vendor calling me. It's not. Anyway, so, sorry. So that's that. Next, I don't know the answer to this, but it may be that they're searching for a word, and when they moved around Etsy, they may have landed on your listing. I don't know the answer to that. I think the answer is no, but I think it doesn't necessarily mean that they typed in print and then found you on the first page or the second page. I think they may have typed in print and then filtered possibly and then found you, which is actually not a bad thing. Okay? So it's not fair to tell you whether or not that counts, that contributes to a low conversion rate. Okay? All right, sorry. All right, guys, before I let you go, I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and I will mention it obviously next week. Tuesday, right, Facebook Live time, will be the last Facebook Live I do for a couple of weeks. So let me tell you the dates here, okay? The 24th, I'm doing a Facebook Live Tuesday. But on the 25th, I fly to New York for my vacation time. 2 weeks in New York, which means the April 30th, I won't be on, May 1st, I won't be on Facebook Live, and May 8th, I won't be on Facebook Live, okay? I will be in New York. Now, I don't know how it's going to go, okay? Meaning, am I going to disappear for a complete 2 weeks? Probably not. And there's a very good chance I'm not going to disappear for 2 weeks. But I won't be as active as I am now. I still will be active. It's how I roll. I love you guys. I love going in, peeking in, answering questions. It's how I roll, even on vacation time. I know, I'm crazy. But there will be some downtime where I'm just like chilling in the morning, sipping my coffee, and I'll probably answer some questions. It's how I roll, okay? So I'm not going to completely disappear, just so you know. But I won't be able to do Facebook Lives, obviously, because that takes like an hour, And during that hour, I'll be working with Jess in the morning. So I will be working during my vacation time, just in case you're interested, during the morning pieces to communicate with her and orders and, the usual stuff, right? To get her kind of going and get started on the right foot, right? And she's fully capable of doing it, so I just need to communicate with her on the phone and she'll do her thing. So I won't be as active, but I'll be around, and I will be working on my e-commerce business, so I won't go on vacation on my e-commerce business. I'll still continue running, but I will be, I'll be kind of around. And again, if you want to follow me of what I'm doing on vacation, I'm going to New York, so it's going to be pretty fun. I do a lot of things while I'm there, like I'll be out and about. So if you want to feel like you're on vacation and you're working, then follow me on Instagram, because you'll see my stories and I'll be posting like crazy amounts of times. And of course, I'll be vlogging the trip, so you'll see that on YouTube probably shortly after the vacation is done. Okay? And the Instagram handle's up above, or you can find me at the Handmade Mastermind. Okay? That's it. I will remind you guys next week that I won't be around, just in case. Okay, guys, have a fantastic day. And let me mention another comment into the comment world. I know this is a really long Facebook Live. Okay, good. All right, no other comments. Okay, guys, have a fantastic day, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.